to be honest, I do think it would be beneficial if a lot of the government loan money is reserved for Championship and League One clubs, depending on the terms of those loans, and how long the payback period they can get, what the interest sort of situation is. I do think those clubs will benefit from it potentially more. But the question of how many of the clubs will go to the wall, well, I'd say more of them will be in more issues by playing than not playing, with stuff like the furlough scheme. I know that's getting wound up as we progress, but it's still going to benefit these clubs, and the way Carl Fitzpatrick talked about it benefiting the Super League clubs, I think you see that even more fold at the Championship clubs who don't have, like we said, the Sky money, who don't get the same revenues generated.
If they're working for their other employer, then that'll have implications, won't it? Because then they can't be furloughed.
I believe you can be furloughed and then take up another occupation, but I don't know what it means.
It depends on specifics.
Yeah.
Just because I know some people can't even, sign up as an Usborne seller while they're on furlough.
Oh, right. I thought most people could pick up a second job whilst they were on furlough.
From the stuff that I've read and had pointed out, it depends on your individual case, because some companies you can't. So
we haven't heard anything from the Championship and League One clubs saying that they haven't been able to use the furlough scheme, have we?
No. No, sir.
But I do tell what you say. I don't think it's right to say, because we started the season with promotion and relegation. Totally fair. We started the season with every club believing they would play home matches in front of their own fans. We started the season with every club in the Championship believing that they would get to play every club in the Championship. So now we're saying bottom half of the Championship don't get to play because they don't want to play, but there's 4 clubs who say they can afford to play, want to play. They'll go into this basically short tournament lottery to get into Super League. So they will have to not really do as much to earn promotion against a team that will have given something up to then get relegated. It seems more unfair to me than fair. It seems more unfair on more clubs than not having promotion and relegation.
The problem is, we're in the most ridiculous situation, and actually I don't think that there is a fair solution.
Yeah.
And, it's like we've said in the past, doing away with Golden Point, you can't do that because we've had it before this season, and I don't know.
You could do away with it if we don't have promotion and relegation.
You might as well do away with scoring matches then, mightn't you?
You mean like points difference?
Points difference, points for a try, points for a goal, points for a drop goal. Just, play for fun.
Well, I think any competition we have will have an asterisk against it anyway, won't it?
Yeah.
Because it's not going to finish how it was intended to start. And that's not a reason to not play any games, but it is a reason to make certain decisions. And I think removing promotion and relegation this year, whilst not beneficial for everyone, is probably the most fair for the most people.
Plus, you're anti-promotion and relegation anyway, whereas I'm for promotion and relegation. So fundamentally, our starting point is different.
Yeah, massively. I think the only argument for promotion and relegation is the fact that it's part of our sporting culture in this country. Otherwise, I think it's completely destabilising and has no long-term benefits. But
well, that's fair enough. You can go somewhere else because it's part of my culture, so therefore I want to keep it.
Until Hull FC get relegated, yeah?
No, if we finish bottom, we deserve to be relegated.
Well, yeah, because that's how we view sport in this country. Yeah.
I remember the ecstasy of 1999 when we managed to beat Sheffield to avoid finishing bottom, whilst Huddersfield lost to Castleford to finish bottom.
Didn't matter, did it? Because you all just merged with people and came back the next year like it never happened.
It didn't matter because they got rid of Huddersfield being relegated. That was my point. We still avoided the relegation. That's twice that Huddersfield cheated.
But Gateshead, they didn't avoid not being in Super League when they finished 7th or something.
No, and that was wrong as well, but there you go.
Yeah, you're right, though. I am sort of fundamentally, my position is in our sport, I don't think it's the best thing for us to have, but if it would, do you know, my views would be different if we could build a sport that had a strong second tier. But what we've got is 4 or 5 clubs gambling. It's not that doesn't feel sustainable. And when they start saying, "I'll walk away if we don't get promoted," you know, it's laughable almost.
Yeah, but that's individuals, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like that's not a design fault with promotion and relegation.
No, the gambling to get promoted is the design fault.
Yeah, but maybe teams like Wigan shouldn't have cheated for so many years and stolen all the money. And then it'd have all been fairer.
Yeah, it'd all been fairer if we didn't make stuff up. What money did we steal?
All the money.
All the money.
By going professional and pretending you weren't. In the late 80s.
We didn't pretend anything.
Anyway, still maintain it's all Wigan's fault.
That is fine to say that. Right. So, in terms of the questions your dad asked about the clubs outside of the Championship, about how much of the government money will go to these clubs and how many of the clubs will go to the wall, what do you think from that?
Sorry, outside of Super League, you mean?
Yeah.
Sorry, you said outside of Championship. That was confusing me.
Oh, sorry.
So outside of Super League, how much of the money should go to them?
Well, more, and how many of the clubs do you think will go bust? And do you think not having promotion and relegation will change how many of those clubs will go bust?
It's really hard to know because, I mean, you worry about the clubs that only get, 400 people through the gates on a week, but there again, they must be sailing so close to the financial viability wind anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Because how you can possibly break even on gates of that small?
It must be the case that those clubs will be the kind of focus for the kind of government loan options. It mustn't it be like your dad sort of indicates?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really hard one to call, isn't it? Because they must be so close to being unsustainable, even on a sunny day in August or whatever, that on the back of 3 months of no income. But there again, is it on the back of 3 months of largely no expenditure either?
Exactly, yeah. But then how much does that balance shift if they're pushed back into action?
Yeah, I don't know.
What do you think about the idea of just playing it in autumn or through the winter? As soon as grounds can start having fans back in again, that's as soon as they start playing in these lower leagues, and we figure out the rest as we go along, sort of thing.
It's difficult then, isn't it? Because the more you're playing into autumn and winter, the more matches you're then going to have postponed. So the more of a backlog you're going to pick up, and then
And that
when
even
do you
has
start the new
implications for promotion
season?
and relegation, doesn't it? If you can't end the season before
Yeah.
the next season starts.
Well, this is it. You can't have this season running into end of
No.
March, can you? And trying to start the next one
No.
mid-February. So
Yeah.
I think in many ways there is no answer, and whatever is decided will upset people.
Yeah.
And some clubs will herald whatever happens as, you know, seeking only to destroy their team.
Well, that's a guarantee, Sarah, isn't it?
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Well, even if like the whole entire RFL board died tomorrow, there'll be clubs that were like, well, they did this to spite us.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't envy the people making the decisions. I mean, I don't have, you know, enough of information at my fingertips to really know. But yeah, it's just not a pleasant situation to be in, really, is it?
No, and that's one of the things that a lot of people are coming out actually as a big criticism about this, and especially about like the having a review to review that they're going to review having a decision.
And I think that's the thing that annoys. It certainly annoys me. Like, as I said earlier, they know well which way they're going because they'll have contingencies in place. So just get on with it and don't declare that you're having another review to review the review.
Do you think that obviously we all suspect that the decision is that there won't be promotion and relegation this year, so really it's kind of like it feels almost like a jury deliberation, but it's instead of being dragged out over days and weeks, it's being dragged out over weeks and months. But it's almost like you're trying to get enough of the people that aren't already on side with that being the sort of kind of sensible outcome or whatever, through whatever ways and means you can, and playing like the sort of back and forth and that sort of thing of all the circumstances to get to that result. And I suppose if you end up only annoying 3 clubs rather than 20 clubs, it's probably surely the 3 clubs should say if it's better for the 17, then it's better for the 20. But
yeah, well, they weren't, but yes, they should.
Yeah.
And also,
that's what they're trying to do, isn't it, with this
well,
delay?
and I wonder whether, you know, the longer they leave it, the less time that the clubs would have to get prepared. So therefore, that'll sort of swing a few people in their favour. The longer they leave it, the closer we might be to a second wave, and the government saying it can't happen anyway. I
mean, is it right to criticise the RFL for the delay, or is the delay is because the clubs can't come to a consensus, isn't it? It's not that the RFL could turn around and tell them what to do, but that's going to have ramifications. So the RFL want to try and maybe bring the clubs along with what they want to do, and the delay is that too many clubs maybe aren't supporting what is probably a majority that think we can't get back to play it. It's not possible for us.
Yeah, and I think as well, the RFL don't want to be the bad guys. But the clubs want the RFL to be the bad guys because then they can say, well, it's not our fault, it's the RFL.
Yeah, well, exactly. Because the reason they wouldn't have delayed making the decision if the clubs were in unison, would they? Kind of like Super League a few weeks ago, weren't it? Where everyone was sort of saying there was a couple of clubs who were against what was being proposed and stuff, and the vote was more split than the unanimous sort of front that was presented. But that shows the right way to do it, doesn't it? They've got around the table, they've worked out that more of them are for a certain thing than are against it. So then they've said, well, what's the best outcome for us all is we present a united front on this, and they've done that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's move on for some other stuff that came out of that RFL stuff today. Some interesting, some sort of side notes as well. So meanwhile, the RFL board has approved the introduction of rule changes for the resumption of the season, including the introduction of 6 to go and suspension of scrums, as per last month's proposals. So we talked a bit about that, but it's been a while. I forgot what we said.
Sorry.